Mario Eclipse. Woohoo!
Did you know that Super Mario Sunshine just got a sequel? Well, not really. More like a brand new huge expansion. A dedicated team of modders just dropped the full release of Super Mario Eclipse. This expansion includes the base game but adds 5 new areas to explore on Delfino Island, plus 7 more post-game areas with a brand new hub world. This increases the shine sprite count from 120 to 240 shines, doubling the game's original content. Plus, they even updated Mario's movement kit and gave us 2 new playable characters in Luigi and Piantissimo. These insanely talented developers have made every kid's dream come true and essentially released Super Mario Sunshine 2. So today, we're gonna go through this game together so I can show you just how incredibly cool this mod is. The link is in the description if you want to download the mod for yourself. God, how I love this intro. The Mario paint into the beautiful blue sky with the plane flying over is so good. Then just seeing Mario, Peach, and Toadsworth in a plane with the Delfino ad playing, man, ultra nostalgia. This cutscene teasing Shadow Mario and having Peach's awareness hint that something is off about this vacation is such a great hook for a game. Not only are we going to have the most beautiful setting ever, but also a fully fledged adventure versus a new villain. Young me thought this was so cool. Once the cutscene ends, Mario is dropped into some kind of temple with this fisherman Noki explaining that we must complete the 3 trials to exit. This sequence acts as a tutorial to the player, because this mod gives Mario some newly added movement options to utilize. With the rocket nozzle, we can now dive immediately afterwards, giving Mario an incredible burst of forward aerial movement. And after completing this short platforming trial, we grab this little Mario Galaxy Star launcher piece and teleport back to the hub room. The turbo nozzle got a rework, and it now launches us in an instant with no charge up and is much faster. The speed at which it propels you is now manipulatable by using the analog trigger. The more you press down the trigger, the faster you go, allowing for more movement precision. For the last trial, the game teaches you about long jumps. Similar to Super Mario 64, holding Z and jumping bursts Mario forward in a low but fast-paced burst of speed. Then we collect the hover nozzle and learn that by pressing the trigger and jump at the same time, we can perform a burst jump, sending Mario quickly into the air for extra height. Upon climbing these mushrooms, I found this water pickup item that was just a bottle of Fiji water, which I thought was hilarious. After completing all 3 trials and grabbing the 3 Galaxy Star launcher fragments, the final door opens. Entering the door, the tutorial is complete, and we get the classic Super Mario Sunshine title screen. There's just something about it that gets me fired. And now, it's paired with a new logo and a new voice line for Mario. The file select screen even gets an upgrade, now showing Peach's castle from Super Mario 64. First of all, before we even hop into the game, this mod gives you a pretty awesome options menu. Unfortunately for me, I accidentally skipped it at first, but don't worry. In the file select menu, you can return to this option menu where I turned on subtitles, changed the game's aspect ratio to 16:9, and changed the game to 60 FPS. Instead of launching straight into the Delfino airstrip, this game comes with a little preamble located at the Super Mario 64 castle. Peach tells us about how excited she is for the vacation, and how Luigi will be joining us on the island later. After exploring around for a bit and trying to get on the roof with no success, I headed away from the castle to find an airstrip with Peach's plane. I talked to some of the Toad crew before jumping into the doorway. With the cutscene already shown, we cut to the landing sequence, and this is where the game gets back onto its original path. As this is an expansion, the entire base game is still included, so we still have to clear off the landing strip after collecting Flood, and watch the whole jail sequence where Mario is totally framed for the vandalism crimes even though he clearly just arrived here. Corrupt ass system. Rolling on through, I needed to tackle the base game so I could unlock things like Yoshi, the turbo nozzle, and the rocket nozzle to use in the newer levels, and without a choice, I hopped straight into the Bianco Hills. Running through the first mission, I could only think about how I wanted to get through the older levels as quickly as possible to experience all the newly added content. My mind was racing with all the possible locations someone could think of and add to the already wonderful and intriguing Delfino Island environment. And then, I defeated the first mini-boss and grabbed the shine. What? Yeah, so as it turns out, the mod will not reset you back to the plaza after collecting shines. If there's multiple to grab without needing to reset a level, it will just keep you in the level. So I immediately headed straight for Petey. Then, after defeating Petey, the level takes me back to the level select screen instead of Delfino Plaza, which makes clearing out each area so much more quick and convenient. I was so pleased with this change. Having never played a Sunshine mod before, this just made sense and was such a great quality of life change. Also, when in a level, by pausing the game, you can see the total amount of shines and blue coins of that area, and how many you've collected so far. And then, there's this new reset area function that allows you to go back to the level select screen manually if you want to choose a different shine to go after. Simply amazing and useful features. After clearing out all of Bianco Hills, I moved on to Rico Harbor. My plan was to tackle all the shines from the base game, and then move on to the new levels before fighting Bowser. As for the structure of this mod, before Bowser, there are the original 7 levels plus 5 newly added locations to complete, with some even being inspired by rumored levels that were cut from the original game. Then, after after defeating Bowser, you can board Daisy's Cruiser as a new hub world to access 7 more brand new levels, which doubles the total shine count from 120 from the original game to 240 in Eclipse. That's a ton of new content and new shines to collect. Luigi is supposed to join Mario after defeating Bowser, and Piantissimo becomes playable after beating all the racing missions against him. But I had to contain my excitement before then, so I went back to Rico Harbor to try clearing that level out. From the get-go, I noticed some interesting changes with Rico Harbor. For one, there was this pathway that took me out of the level. In this game, each level is connected by roads, which sometimes allowed me to walk to new levels without collecting a shine or heading back to the Delfino Plaza. The roads make sense too, based on where the locations would be located on the map. And for the levels located on islands, you can find boats that connect the levels together, or even sometimes just swim out to sea and end up at this reef where you can warp to other island levels. For instance, this boat was a new feature in Rico Harbor. This guy offers to take us to Lighthouse Island, a new area to this game. But sticking to the plan, I decided to stay in Rico Harbor. But while I was heading up to the blooper boss fight, another new addition to the level stuck out to me. There's this building you can enter which takes you up to a train platform. There's some people waiting for the train, so I decided to have a chat with this guy until he recognized me as the guy on the wanted posters and then threw me off the cliff back into Rico Harbor. What a fucking asshole! Heading into the caboose brings you to this little hub room on the moving train. There are 4 doors that take you to different levels on the island. The first is Rico Harbor, then there's Urto Rock, Hotel La Crema, and Serena Beach. Talking to the Snowkey, she had a lot to say but gave me a shine sprite for talking to her. So not only are there a ton of new areas, but also new shines that aren't even located inside levels. This game just kept blowing me away with new features, areas, and things to find. Not to mention, interconnecting all these levels is so cool. It makes the game feel less structured and more of an open world exploration adventure that was even more immersive than my experience the first time around. My plan to just do the original levels first disintegrated so quickly because I found myself just exploring the island and being wowed by the new pathways I'd find that would lead me to new levels. But after snapping out of my childlike wonder, I went back to Rico Harbor and cleared out all the levels until the last one, where I didn't have Yoshi unlocked to complete it. So instead, I hopped on the train. The next destination I went to was Urto Rock. This new location was a town located on the side of the volcano. It was a cliffside destination home to many merchants that I quickly learned like to barter their belongings. The first mission had me trying to find this guy a sound system by trading up from 5 coins he gave me. The only problem is, he needed to leave on the train in 5 minutes, so we were on a time limit. Kind of a wild first mission to introduce me to this area, considering I knew nothing about the layout. They show you a quick image of the next person you need to find and barter with, but knowing where that image is was impossible. Listening to this catchy new song, I traded my coins for a blender, then wandered around with it in my hand until I eventually found this guy who swapped it for exercise equipment. Finally, after climbing to the top of the village, I traded the exercise equipment in for a big speaker, which allowed me to give it to the original Pianta for a shine. It's such a clever mission that uses the theme of the area, bartering, but it also ties it in with an exploration element of this never-before-seen level and trying to find all the merchants, while also stressing you out a bit with the time limit. The second shine in Urto Rock requires you to climb up to the very top spire of the level to collect the shine. However, not having the rocket nozzle, I deem this level an impossibility for now. But that didn't stop me from collecting the 8 red coins and getting that shine. This shine allowed me to more clearly get a grasp of the layout of this area, while also teaching me that I can climb the pine trees. So with no way to move on, I decided to go back to Delfino Plaza and go back to Rico Harbor once more. I wanted to ride the boat to the next new area, Lighthouse Island. Upon arrival, instead of a beautiful sunny atmosphere, the island was covered in a swirling thunderstorm. After speaking with the people of this cabana bar, I headed inland towards the lighthouse to find a solution to this wicked storm. The Pianta at the door tells us that there's something hiding in the lighthouse that is causing the storm, so he lets us enter and we're treated to a boss fight. The fight was against this, I don't know, anti-shine? It's a purple shine sprite that spews paint and rolls at Mario trying to poke you with its sharp points and leaves a paint trail behind it. The trick to this boss fight is to avoid being stunned when it hits the ground. Then, before it starts rolling around, dive into the face or back of it without the spikes to knock it over, then ground pound on it to injure it. Do this 3 times, and you defeat the anti-shine and restore sunshine back to the area. I thought this boss fight fit in perfectly with the game, and just made perfect sense all around. Evil shine sprites that cause storms instead of sunshine? How did Nintendo not think of that? Then, such an intuitive boss fight with a simple yet sorta difficult solution to beating it. A+ design all around. With sunshine restored to the island, our next mission was to climb the lighthouse. Inside the lighthouse was a button. When pushed, it spawned a bunch of moving objects, and on a time limit, we had to climb up to the top. A simple and easy task that brings us back outside on top of the lighthouse where we can grab the shine. The view up here was amazing, and after the shine didn't reset the level, I looked around for our next task. The only thing I could see was red coins, so I went around and explored while looking for them. The inner island was like a beach grove. In order for the camera not to get blocked by the canopies, I had to zoom all the way in over Mario's shoulder, and I got some serious nostalgia of being a kid again, walking through grove pathways on eastern Long Island that led out to the beaches. Tight pathways with overgrown brush almost swallowing up the path. This was a very simple but beautiful area. However, the red coins proved unobtainable again due to the lack of the rocket nozzle. So instead, I took the boat over to Pina Park. Pina Park was of course the same. I fought Mecha Bowser and Shadow Mario was revealed to be Bowser Jr. He steals Mama Peach and then I proceeded to do the rest of the missions until I was stopped by not having Yoshi unlocked. Instead of heading back to the plaza, I wanted to walk around to a new level. So after backtracking on the boat rides all the way to Rico Harbor, I took the train to Hotel LaRema. But again, I immediately got distracted and ended up taking a wrong turn into this random area between levels. It was a peaceful little swamp marsh with a stone statue in the center of it. The statue tells us about how bittersweet it is to see the island so full of life, but how sad it is that the statue's legacy has been forgotten. It explains that it is an artifact of the island's old cultural history, but the statue can sense Mario's compassion and service to the island, and wants Mario to carry on its legacy, so it gives us another secret shine. Very peculiar, I will say. Feels like something out of a Zelda game. The marshland was a crossroads between Hotel LaRema, Pianta Village, and Warship Island, another new area. So intrigued by the sight of Pianta Warships, I headed that way. This level was another really interesting area. It's located in this cove with big wooden ships and these giant stone rock structures. And then on the beach is this wooden dock and lookout section. But the real level reveals itself when you go down the sewer pipe in the corner. Ground pounding this takes you to an underground naval base that looks out into the bay from underwater. It feels very much like the pirate's hideout from Majora's Mask. The first mission of this area was to remove the sea mines from the water. You see, this Pianta Navy is fucking lazy and useless. They accidentally let all their mines go when testing their submarine, and after forcibly enlisting Mario into their ranks, it's now our job to clear out the mines. Around the level, you'll find rockets, similar to the ones from the Mecha Bowser mission on the roller coaster, and by shooting all the mines with these rockets using Flood, you can collect your first shine. Mission 2 requires more manual labor from Mario that the Piantas are too lazy to do. While trying to blow up the mines from Mission 1 themselves, they fired at them with cannonballs. The Piantas want Mario to retrieve all these cannonballs, and in return, we get a shine. Simple enough. Some were on land and some were underwater, but it was a simple fetch mission to get my shine. The third shine in this area was located at the top mast of one of the warships, so once again, I was limited by having not unlocked the rocket nozzle. So I decided to return to the plaza and keep working on the main game, so I could unlock all this extra gear and start finishing off levels completely. So I went to Gelato Beach, and those missions went pretty smoothly. Not too much trouble with the sandbird or the watermelon missions, routine stuff. And then after returning back to the plaza, Shadow Mario was there with Yoshi's egg, so I chased his ass down and unlocked our dino friend. I immediately noticed that Yoshi spawned in with no juice, but I also noticed that he wasn't dying, so the modders made Yoshi no longer have a time limit to keep him alive. Nice. Also, I think with no juice, Yoshi was immune to water, so swimming on Yoshi's back was a possibility, but only as long as he has no juice to make skipping certain levels that prey on Yoshi's water weakness a possibility. Such a genius way of making getting Yoshi way less annoying, but also keeping that juice restriction that is a core element of Sunshine's gameplay. I hopped into Serena Beach, now having Yoshi to eat the pineapple blocking the pipe, and completed the Manta Ray mission. However, instead of continuing, I went back to the plaza, and sure enough, Shadow Mario had the turbo nozzle for me. So I chased his ass down again and grabbed that upgrade. And then just for good measure, I went and did the first mission of Noki Bay and exited to chase Shadow Mario down again for the rocket nozzle. So there we go. Now I shouldn't be running into any roadblocks when trying to blast through these levels. Now with no upgrade limitation standing in my way, I decided to get back on track with the original plan. Going for 100% completion, I went back into Bianco Hills and gathered up all the blue coins, secret stars, and the 100 coin star. I only got distracted once by this brand new cave here. It was actually a shortcut through the volcano that led to Corona Mountain. However, Corona Mountain was actually a shrine temple that was still intact. Talking to all the Piantas, this guy tells us about how this temple in the volcano worships the birth of new shine sprites. He explains that there's currently 239 in existence, and that a new one is set to be born any day now. So basically, come back here once you've collected all of them. After getting all the blue coins in Corona Mountain, I went back to Bianco Hills and cleared it out. All 30 blue coins and all 11 shines collected. I then went to Rico Harbor and did the same thing. All blue coins collected and all 11 shines collected. Then Gelato Beach, then Pina Park, then Serena Beach, then Noki Bay, and finally Pianta Village. I had never done this before growing up. As a kid, I didn't even know about the secret shines or the 100 coin shines, and I was way too lazy to collect every blue coin. So it felt like a rite of passage. Collecting everything for this enhanced Sunshine experience gives me the right to now finally say I completed it. At this point, I went back to Delfino Plaza and even got every shine sprite and blue coin there, but I gotta say, the lily pad mission and the pachinko mission are so much easier on 60 FPS. It's ridiculous. Now, normally, this would be when the flooding of Delfino Plaza would trigger and Mario would be led to Corona Mountain to fight Bowser. But instead, this game makes you complete the first 7 shines of the extra levels too before the Bowser fight. So without a choice, I headed back to Lighthouse Island. Now I was fully ready to experience everything these new areas had to offer. With the rocket nozzle, I could now get all these pesky red coins. But upon spawning in, I noticed something new, a little golf ball located at the cabana bar. I ran down to the island and realized somehow I didn't see this golf hole they put here. So after a couple water hazards, I used the old foot wedge and kicked the ball into the hole to get a shine. Exploring the islands for the red coins, I stumbled upon this storage trunk on the back of the lighthouse. Jumping inside it took me to a secret level. Instead of the classic Sunshine a cappella song, my ears were delighted to hear some ultra nostalgic Super Mario Bros. 2 music. It was the main theme but now an a cappella that accompanied me as I jumped through this new stage. It was a little bit of a tough climb, especially with these new fast-moving donut platforms, but nothing I couldn't handle. Finally, I found all 8 red coins, and then my next shine was a race against Piantissimo. Of course, I cooked this slow ass, but to my surprise, I was treated to a brand new cutscene. Basically, if you can't beat him, join him. Piantissimo is now available as a playable character. Loading into the next shine on Lighthouse Island, I again was surprised to see a new character select screen with more Super Mario Bros. 2 music. It was the character select music from the original NES game with a Sunshine instrument update. Again, super nostalgia was kicking in, and I sat here for a while listening to it. However, Piantissimo would have to wait, because I was sticking with Mario for now, considering the next mission was to catch Shadow Mario. The last mission was a simple lap around the island on the back of our blooper surfboard, and then it was time for the secret stars and the blue coins. The secret stars involved getting red coins on the secret level and spraying down this golden bird, which completed the Lighthouse Island. And while I traveled to our next destination via the railway system, I gave Piantissimo a go. This character is so wild. He's much faster and floatier than Mario, making him extremely hard to precisely control. He also has this new double jump mechanic, allowing you to change direction midair and gain more height. He was cool, but I decided for the time being that I'm just gonna stick with Mario and we'll come back to Piantissimo when we need him. It was time to circle back to Urto Rock. With the rocket nozzle now unlocked, climbing the tallest spire in the town was super easy and I moved on to the next shine. I used the rocket nozzle again to break this fireball block and get this shine. And then I noticed this golden bird flying around and gathered up a secret shine. The secret level in Urto Rock is located in the shed at the top of the village. The door is actually interactable, and entering it takes you to the stormy skybox. It was a pretty straightforward level, with the hardest part being these wall jumps from this spinning block, but easy nonetheless. The next mission has the volcano erupt with fiery paint, and with another time limit, we have to clean up the 10 townsfolk who are stuck drowning in the paint. The NPCs in danger are very spread out, so the rocket nozzle came in clutch here to quickly traverse the level and avoid falling. Once that shine was collected, I chased Shadow Mario around to get another shine, and then it was time for a little game of tag. By talking to this crying Pianta child, she decides to pull a fast one and tag Mario, and now it's up to us to find and tag 10 hiding villagers before the time runs out. Some are out in the open running away from you, and others just hide behind buildings, but I was able to find them all and get my last shine. Well, besides the secret red coins and the 100 coin shine, but I promptly wrapped up all of Urto Rock and headed to my next location. The next area I went to was back to Warship Island, where now with the rocket nozzle, I was able to get the shine on top of the mast of the ship. I also scooped up the red coin star and the 100 coin star before moving on to the next mission. The submarine secret level was a pain in the ass. Rotating platforms with trampolines on them, time limit sand blocks that disintegrate out from under you. This one was rough for Mario without FLUDD. So instead, I decided to enlist the help of our floaty friend Piantissimo to basically jump over most of the level design and skip to the end to grab the shine. Much better. The next mission was located in the underground naval base. According to this schmuck, a breed of amphibious stew that were in the containment tanks have escaped, and Mario needs to exterminate them all in order to get the next shine and prevent an environmental disaster. Very dramatic, but simple enough. Then of course we did the classic Shadow Mario chase mission, but mission 8 was pretty interesting. There was this golden chest this guy dug up at the top of one of the stone pillars, but there was no key to open it, so it was up to us to find the key. As it turns out, if you take Yoshi onto the warships, you can spray away the yellow goo to get inside the hull of the ship, where the key is locked up in the cargo hold. Then, by going back up the stone pillar, you can open the chest and receive your shine. So with Warship Island complete, I had successfully cleared out 3 of the 5 new areas. So it was now time to dive into the weirdest new level in the game. The Pianta Pit. In Pianta Village, if you fall off the level under the starting rope bridge, you'll be transported into the dark gloomy pit below. After climbing downwards a bit from the spawn point, I saw this giant creature roaming around the bottom. What the hell is that? It looks like a banana with a nipple on top. Down here, you'll find a lost village of Piantas, who fell from the village above, but none of them have the means to climb back out. Some are still sane, hoping to be rescued someday, but others have completely lost their minds. There are crazy chucksters that will patrol the bridges between the treehouse platforms and throw you back down to the bottom of the pit if they catch you. There is no mission select screen here, but there are still 7 shines to collect, making this area a fully immersive labyrinth to explore and find out how to collect everything. Weirdly enough, because of the atmospheric storytelling being so interesting and the lack of interruption from a mission select screen, this area quickly became my favorite. It was so interesting to see such a creepy area with the frightening backstory of all these stranded piantas with a mystery creature that I've never seen before in Sunshine. It really made this area memorable, and it intrigued me to explore the depths of what lies beneath Pianta Village. The first thing I did was go after the banana monster. It ended up being a docile creature that roamed around the bottom of the pit, shooting stews out of its asshole. But not knowing how to interact with it, I moved on and talked to this batshit crazy guy who was spouting nonsense about worshipping the shine sprites. Talking to the couple next to him, they explained their fear of the crazy people worshipping the fire and what they might do if all the fires got put out in the village. So taking the hint, I climbed into the treetops and started to put out the fires. But after getting chucked back to the bottom of the pit again, I found the central tree with a hollow inside and began to climb it. And sure enough, at the top of the tree trunk was our first shine. From this top branch, I spotted another fire in the distance. So I set off in that direction to try and find a way up the trees to put it out. I talked to this lady who was clearly high off the glowing mushrooms and then collected my 100th coin for that shine. And then finally found that last campfire to extinguish, spawning another shine. Around the central tree is a pond with a bunch of fish and cheep swimming around. I talked to this guy who used to love watching the fish until the invasive cheep species showed up. He then asked me to get rid of them, so I took Yoshi for a swim and ate up all the big fish, which rewarded me a 4th shine. At the top of the treehouse village, there was a shine hanging out on a far-off ledge. By using this crazy chuckster, I was able to be thrown over to the ledge and collect shine number 5. Then I noticed this fireball rock on some mushrooms, which confused me because so far, I hadn't seen a rocket nozzle box down here in the pit. As it turns out, I just needed to jump from the top of the village and ground pound from high enough to break it and get shine number 6. Then, of course, for shine 7, it was time to slay the beast. Even though this guy seems to be a pacifist, it was time for him to die. The way to kill him was to just spray water on his nipple eye, which proved tricky as he moves pretty fast. But eventually, I murdered him and got my last shine. While it took a really long time to find all the shines and blue coins, this area was genuinely one of, if not the coolest new addition to the original game of Sunshine that fits seamlessly into Delfino Island and adds some truly amazing lore. 10 out of 10 area. Last but not least, it was time to head to LaRema Hotel. As the name suggests, this level is a beachfront hotel controlled by piantas in sunglasses and black suits, similar to the piantas from Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. Yeah, these piantas are the mafia. Talking to any of them, they promptly tell Mario to buzz off. But one guy tips us off by telling us to stay out of the kitchen. So of course, I headed to the kitchen, and inside under these crates is a sewer grate leading to secret tunnels under the hotel. Mario is now launched into a stealth mission, where we have to sneak past all the mafia piantas to reach the end of the tunnels. Here we find a battle arena, where a bunch of mobsters, including the mob boss, sentence us to death for sticking our nose where it doesn't belong. And suddenly, we're stuck in the pit fighting a horde of stews. Yeah, pretty underwhelming honestly. So we fight off the useless enemies and the mob is so shocked and impressed, the boss gives us his respect and makes Mario an honorary member of the Mafia for being the arena champion and rewards him with a pair of shades. It's a super silly mission that ends in a hilarious way. Just don't come back down here in the tunnels during the later missions. They're doing some f***ed up shit down here. But at least the Mafia guys in the level will now conversate with Mario. The rest of the shines in Hotel LaRema become a lot more lighthearted after Mario befriends the Mafia. Funny how that works. The next shine I found was in the secret level in the air vent on the 3rd floor of the hotel. This level had a giant tower for Mario to climb up without FLUDD, with multiple routes to the top. Nothing crazy here. In the next level, we find this Pianta locked out of his room and he tells us there's a shine sprite inside. But there's no key for the door, so getting into the room was going to be tricky. But this game wasn't fooling me at all. Immediately, I went outside and started poking around for a way in through the roof. Sure enough, this window was able to be jumped through. Inside the honeymoon suite, I grabbed another shine. Then we move on to Booty Scootin' Safari, where Mario jumps into this arcade cabinet that is a secret level with a giant slide. This slide was a real bastard. It's got slow precision parts where you need to be going fast, and it has parts where you need to be going just fast enough to space these gap jumps just right. It's a serious Goldilocks situation that took me a couple of tries, but eventually I got my shine. Also, doing it a second time but faster gets you a secret shine too. Another shine takes us back to the arcade where we shoot some hoops in under a time limit to earn it. The next mission has Mario recreating the shape of this mini watermelon pile with the giant watermelon pile for a shine. Then a Shadow Mario chase, and then the best mission of them all.
Pizza time.
Backed by the classic Spider-Man pizza music, Mario must carry these pizzas to hungry customers to earn money for the mob. Once all the pizzas are delivered across the patrons of the entire hotel, this guy tries to scam us of our tip money before ultimately giving us a shine. And after clearing up all the blue coins and clearing out Hotel LaRema, almost all of the new content in Delfino Island was complete. There was just one more batch of shines we were forgetting. Remember the statue in the marshland in between levels that gave us a shine? As it turns out, all the roads that interconnect the levels have one secret shine for us to collect. I found it really cool to hide secret shines in the pathways that reward your curiosity and exploration by giving you more shines. It really added more layers to Delfino Island by giving you mini locations to walk to between the full levels. I mean, just look at some of these locations. There's this one hidden behind this waterfall in this beautiful looking cave with the water flowing in. There's this cliffside trail where you have to spray all the flowers to get a shine. This beautiful cove where the shine is inside this pearl you need to smash. And then even in the middle of the ocean, there's this reef junction with a shine hidden in the coral that you need to ground pound to collect. It's a minor addition to make the levels all connect, but I really believe it adds so much to the immersion of the island, showing you places on Delfino that aren't major places that people live. So after fully completing every level and gathering every shine and blue coin in the game, I headed back to Delfino Plaza. And of course, Shadow Mario appears with the town flooded and I chased him into Corona Mountain. The mountain level is no longer the temple it was before, and it's back to its original base game Corona Mountain level with the boat and everything. And then I climbed up into the clouds and beat Bowser, just as I did years ago the first time I played Sunshine. After the fight, we retreated to the normal cutscene of Flood being dead but then being repaired, but also we see a brand new cutscene that shows Piantissimo with the paintbrush. But instead, in this modded cutscene, he breaks the paintbrush in half and it loses its power. It's such a cool ending that provided that much needed closure that we were missing from the original Sunshine game. But despite all these cutscenes, I knew the game was far from over. The post-game content was just about to get started. First of all, Luigi was now unlocked as a playable character, which of course was hype, but I still needed to go back to the airstrip to get the last blue coin and red coin shine that I was missing from the base game. And by doing this, I realized I could now go back to Peach's castle on the plane with Flood. So me being curious, I went back to the Mushroom Kingdom and tried to get onto the roof. This time, I was successful, and of course, I found Yoshi here, and even was able to get into the backyard where some Boo enemies were floating around. But with nothing else to do here, I headed back to the plaza. There was now this new Pianta here who offers to give Mario a lift out to the new post-game hub world, Daisy's Cruiser. This hub world was a giant cruise ship that used the entire layout of the Mario Kart Double Dash track. Playing as Luigi, who was essentially just Mario but a little floatier as he normally is, Daisy's Cruiser was a blast to explore. The main post-game levels take place in the control room of the ship. There's 4 levels to explore, which are supposed to be the other islands that surround Delfino Island in the ocean. But there's also this arcade cabinet that takes us to another level, and 2 more areas hidden outside of the captain's quarters. But not only that, there were also secret shines in the hub world for us to collect. So I started off by exploring everywhere I could go on Daisy's Cruiser. First things first, I started collecting all the coins I could see for the 100 coin shine, and then immediately jumped down into the engine room where the shortcut in Mario Kart is. I noticed this cracked air vent, and when I jumped into it, it teleported me upwards into a locked room where I sprayed this wall to collect the shine. Then I might have fallen through the map when trying to exit the room. But on the respawn, I collected 100 coins and got that shine. At the front of the ship, there was this lady who really wanted a durian fruit. So when I saw this tiny guy chilling with a durian, I decided to steal it from him. I kicked it all the way from the back of the ship to the front and then into the basket to earn my next shine. At the very back of the ship, there was a button to press that spawned in a timed platforming segment to get my next shine. Then, Flood hinted to me that one of the windows on the front of the ship seemed to be open. Jumping into the window brought me to a secret level that involved jumping on a bunch of miscellaneous moving objects like trains, planes, and clouds to get to the end. Then, of course, you could do this level a second time with red coins involved to get the last secret shine of the hub world. And finally, the actual extra levels. The real post-game content for us to tackle. So the first level I entered was actually this glowing chair by the pool. This took us to a level called Mario's Dream that takes place in this fantasy dream world amongst the clouds that is backed by this methodical piano music. This level has a really abstract level design. Because of this, you're forced to use the rocket nozzle and perform precise rocket dives to get around in a productive way, which I struggled a lot with for a while. Not to mention, this first mission has Mario shooting 30 balloons in a time limit with the finicky water rockets without dying. Kind of a huge pain in the ass mission. But after a lot of tries, we got it done. The first mission makes you use Mario for it, but once I completed it, I switched to Luigi for the rest of the shines. Then there was this pretty cool red coins level where you need to enter the pipe at the back of the level to get on top of this giant pillar. On top of the giant pillar is a bunch of floating spinning obstacles with red coins placed in or around them, and an elevator-like see-through-ish platform that raises you up to get the red coins. The elevator pops at the top of the level, dropping you back down to the lower red coins below, so completing this level was pretty risk-free. It just involved going up and down the elevator a lot until you grab all 8. The other 2 shines shines involved just platforming to the right or left of this area, and then I grabbed the 100 coins shine and it was pretty much done. You see, each level in Daisy's Cruiser has 4 shines plus the 100 coin shine and 10 blue coins to collect, giving you a few missions on some fun experimental levels, and then of course there's the other islands which provide some fun, new, immersive locations to explore in the Sunshine universe. The next level I entered happened to be inside this box in the engine room. Inside the box was a slot machine, and jumping into the void brought us to the casino game table. This level takes place in the casino of Serena Beach, where our character is miniaturized and platforming on things like card towers, poker chips, a chessboard, and even a Jenga tower. I went to the chessboard first, which was covered in the fire goop, so I started by clearing the paint away and finding red coins under the paint. But before I could collect all the red coins, I accidentally opened up and fell into this secret level under the rook. This level led me through a super spooky void that gave me flashbacks to that one Super Mario 64 Star Road level. Platforming up the spinning platforms, I was able to bounce off these boo's tongues to grab the shine at the top of the level. Next, I grabbed the 100 coin star and then made my way back to the chessboard to get all 8 red coins this time. I climbed up the card towers to get the shine at the very top of the level before doing the same task up the Jenga tower to secure all 5 shines. I really liked this level, even for how small and simple it was. It was really cool to be teeny tiny on this giant card table. So with the 2 outside levels on Daisy's Cruiser completed, it was now time to head into the captain's quarters and start tackling the 5 levels inside. First things first, I hopped into the arcade machine, which brought me to this vaporwave themed level. Everything here was neon colored and super trippy. I first noticed the shine at the very back of the level, and after figuring out this very simple platforming puzzle, I grabbed my first shine. The next shine wanted me to rock jump up these binary code platforms. After landing on the second batch of platforms, I was super confused when FLUDD just disappeared off my back. As it turns out, these coding platforms change your FLUDD nozzle status depending on which one you land on. So to get to the top and get the shine, you need to land on the platform that gives you the rocket nozzle each time to continue ascending. So I did just that and grabbed the shine. At this point, I was a little confused. I had basically explored the entire small vaporwave level and only collected 2 shines. But then I found this pit and jumped into it, and jumping into it took me to a second vaporwave area with a different aesthetic and more to explore. Here, there was another timed platforming button with a shine at the top of these random objects that I collected. And our last shine was along this checkered pathway that utilized the turbo nozzle and the rocket nozzle to open up this tower and get me my last shine of the area. Again, another really cool and trippy aesthetic for a level, but not my favorite to play. But now we're getting into the levels based around some island locations surrounding Delfino Island, and the first one was super sick. The modders really took another iconic Mario Kart track and made it into a level with Peach Beach, and the missions here are pretty awesome. The first one is this mad dash to break all the boxes that are scattered throughout the level. The timer is honestly really tight because there are so many boxes that are in the town square, all over the beach, and even on this pink rock structure. It honestly took me a couple tries and some clever routing to locate every box and find the optimal route to strategically give myself enough time to complete it. A really frustratingly fun mission, which honestly is a great way to encapsulate what Sunshine is all about. Why wasn't that on the box art as the tagline? Super Mario Sunshine, frustratingly fun. I just came up with that right now. It's perfect. The second mission has you try to do a lap of the track in under 40 seconds using the turbo nozzle. Essentially, it's just giving you that Mario Kart experience. They place giant banana obstacles in your way, but it's super simple and easy to beat it quick enough and grab the shine. Then, the owner of the track wants you to test out this new sky track and beat it in 25 seconds. By hitting this button, a floating track basically appears and it's incredibly short and easy to complete. After getting the 100 coin star, I went to grab Yoshi and get rid of this goo to enter the secret level. The Peach Beach secret level is just one big Yoshi's Cookie reference, and if you don't know what that is, it's probably because the game is older than you. It's older than me, that's for sure. Yoshi's Cookie was a puzzle game that came out in 1992 that played kind of like Dr. Mario and Tetris, but like way easier, and this level was a callback to the aesthetic of those cookies of the olden times. All you had to do was basically grab all 10 green coins in under a time limit and the shine was yours. And then, Peach Beach was completed. Honestly, a really fun level, and it makes so much sense for it to exist in the game of Sunshine, especially since there's literally a Pianta statue in the track. Our next island destination takes us to Yoshi Village, where a civilization of talking Yoshis is living in Super Mario World style square tree houses with fireplaces and mailboxes out front. Although upon arrival, everything is on fire and the village is being attacked by Petey Piranha. Except this isn't our normal Sunshine boss Petey. This version of Petey spews fire goop everywhere and is much more elusive when he opens his mouth and makes himself vulnerable to getting filled with water. There's even these annoying chicken enemies that drop more fire goop and make the level even more annoying to navigate. After realizing that fighting him with Luigi causes Petey to freeze up and softlock the mission, I re-entered the level as Mario and spent ages trying to defeat this guy. His tornadoes are much more annoying and accurate because you have such a small area to work with the locations he can land. And then he legit opens his mouth for like half a second before spitting out goop, making attacking him so difficult. Eventually though, I was able to sneak in my water sprays into his mouth and kill him with the classic tummy ground pound, grabbing a shine and saving the village. When it's not covered in fire, Yoshi's village is an extremely pleasant place to be. They had a volleyball court, beachfront property, upbeat music. This place was great. The other missions involved killing all these spider enemies that were infesting the place, using Yoshi gimmicks to gather red coins by either using fish platforms or eating butterflies, and then there was even a secret level in the chimney of the main Yoshi house. This secret level was incredible. It placed us in a fixed 2D camera level that brought us through Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. The original, Super Mario World, and Super Mario Bros. 3, with the shine in the final random box that ends the levels in all of Super Mario Bros. 3. Iconic nostalgia from the original 4 2D Mario games. And after grabbing the 100 coin star and the blue coins, Yoshi's village was complete. The next island destination was probably my favorite extra level from Daisy's Cruiser. Red Lily City was a city level atop an island on the sea that was multi-layered and really felt alive, like it could actually be a tiny island paradise you'd find in like Greece or some shit. This level just gave off that vibe, with its thin pathways reminiscent of a European city built into the seaside mountain. It was amazing how spot on it felt. It was like a maze with different encased floors deep into the center of the city, containing shopping districts with silly Mario character themed stores, cafes, and apartment living areas, all located atop an island dangling over the sea. I loved this aesthetic for some reason, and I genuinely got lost when trying to explore the whole thing, even though it's not that big of an area. The first mission introduced us to Piantissimo's female Noki counterpart, who challenged us to a race. So of course, I suited up as our main man and dusted La Nokicia to the flag. This was her one and only appearance in the mod, but it was still funny to see another delusional speedster in the Sunshine universe. I mean, like, what was the thought with Nintendo when making Piantissimo? He's such a random one-off character that is only ever used in the Sunshine game. So weird. The next mission was the real mission that let me explore the whole level because it was the red coins. They spread these to literally every corner of the city, so I essentially meandered around getting lost, looking for all 8, and it was a blast. It was here where I found this sewer system original Super Mario Bros. Arcade game looking ass maze, where at the end of it, you turn on the power to the city. Essentially, the city is powered by bubbles, and turning on the power starts to spawn giant bubbles out of these tubes in the city. Riding these bubbles into the sky leads you to another shine that is incredibly high up in the air. Then, the last shine takes place in this secret area that is in this construction site that only becomes available once the power is on. I was super confused at what this secret level was. The music was super ethereal, and it looked like a majestic area, but if there was a reference to some game or something, I didn't pick up on it. All you had to do to get the shine was smash up all these blocks, and then the shine is revealed to you. If you know what game the secret area is referencing, please let me know down in the comments, because this was a peculiar one to me. The last Daisy's Cruiser level takes us to the frozen island of Lancia Freda Peaks. This level has to be my least favorite newly added level. Look, Sunshine is one of the only Mario games without a snow level, and to be honest, I think it was for the best. This level has ice-cold oceans that hurt you, painfully slow climbing that involves melting ice out of the way, and wind tornadoes that you need to use to ascend the peak of this mountain. I really didn't enjoy this one. There's a shine for climbing this big wall with the aforementioned ice blocks you need to spray out of the way to melt them. There's this peak over here where you need to climb around it to grab the shine up top. There's the red coins on the moving ice blocks suspended over the painfully cold ocean for a shine. And then there's this secret ice cave level that was simply dog shit easy. Yeah, this level really didn't have anything going for it, but completing it meant that I had now collected every single shine possible, and redeeming all my newly collected blue coins left me with 239 shines. So my thought was to go to Corona Mountain and talk to that Pianta, who told me to return for the birth of the 240th shine. So I did just that, except he wasn't there. The mountain was stuck in its state that it is in from the original Sunshine game. So I exited the level, and to my surprise, Bowser was in Delfino Plaza laying siege to the town. Except on 60 FPS, he lagged the fuck out of my game, so I reset the game back to 30 FPS and came back to the fight. So Bowser is back, and he's f***ing pissed that Mario ruined him and his son's vacation. He's in his flying clown mobile, and in the pouring rain is attacking Delfino Plaza. The modders really went and added a second finale boss fight to Sunshine that is way more dramatic and epic than the original fight. Delfino Plaza is practically in ruin because of Bowser. There's rubble from collapsed tower, there's stuff on fire, Bowser's flying around throwing bombs. It's a nightmare. This naval Pianta instructs us that there's missiles in these metal crates, but we can't open them. We're going to need to use Bowser's explosions to open up the crates ourselves. Then the Fire Shrine Pianta is here, ushering to us that if we don't get rid of Bowser and restore balance to the island, then the 240th shine may never be born. So I went after Bowser to finish the fight once and for all. This fight once again can only be described as frustratingly fun. It's finicky as hell, but seeing Delfino Plaza in ruin for the first time was so upsetting. This absolute tropical haven of nostalgia from my childhood being reduced to fire and rubble was a shocking scene. Taking on Bowser in this context was 10 times more impactful than the actual boss fight from the original Sunshine. The trick to this fight was to use Bowser's timer bombs to blow up the metal box located around the plaza, and then do the near impossible task of aiming these rockets at the rapidly flying Bowser to hurt him. Once you open up all 3 crates and hit Bowser 3 times, his clown car will start to spark. But this also makes Bowser start to increase the threat of his barrage of bullet bills, as well as breathe fire if you get too close to him. So maneuvering the plaza becomes increasingly more dangerous. The way to defeat Bowser once and for all is to shoot water at him to electrocute him with the sparks from the clown car. Then when he's stunned, he will start to drop the wind-up bomb robots around him in random directions. While trying to keep spraying him to keep him stunned, you must stop spraying him and grab one of the bomb robots before Bowser recovers and throw the bomb on his head. But it's incredibly difficult because of how much Bowser moves around the town. While his attacks are focused on Mario, Bowser's movement just kind of floats all around the arena. So getting in a position where you can get close enough to stun him and high enough to throw a bomb at him and have enough room for a bomb to land on your rooftop is a real finicky situation. But once you finally hit him with 2 bombs, Bowser is defeated and his flying car explodes him off into the ocean. Beating Bowser causes Corona Mountain to erupt, birthing the 240 to shine, and then a cutscene plays. It's a mix of this new ending where the shine power is radiating from the tower and the classic Bowser and Bowser Jr. voice acted ending that ends with the classic credits sequence. We even get a new thanks for playing postcard with a picture outside of Hotel LaRema. And then we're told we can now access Peach's castle? There's more content even after that ending? The entire town is now filled with joy, having all 240 shine sprites in Mario's possession. And Peach, Toadsworth, and the Toad crew that were on the vacation with us meet us in Delfino Plaza and explain that they had so much fun, but it was time to fly home. Heading back to Peach's castle, the doors are now enterable. The second Bowser fight was the real and true ending to the Super Mario Eclipse mod. But now, in the new post-game content, the entirety of the Super Mario 64 Peach's castle layout was now available to explore in the Sunshine engine, and it looks amazing. I was blown away by this as an adult. Imagine if the original game had this for me to discover as a kid? My mind would have been blown. Each painting location from the Super Mario 64 game now has a new painting with Super Mario Sunshine levels to explore. The levels contain power stars to collect, however there's no counter for these as far as I know, and collecting them doesn't give you anything. But I still went ahead and tried to explore everything I could. Most of the levels are just the modder's recreation of early dev builds for Delfino Island locations, like this early Delfino Plaza, Bianca Hills, and Rico Harbor locations. They even reimagined early levels shown by Nintendo from Space World 2001 and E3 2002's reveal footage for us to explore, with most of the missions just being red coins and not much going on in the actual level. The way they pose these paintings canonically in the story here is that Peach on vacation bought all these paintings for cheap because they are abandoned works in progress. And somehow the castle's star power made it so that the paintings transport Mario back in time to the original locations. The semantics aren't important. The Jolly Roger aquarium secret is the same. It's the red coin mission, now just with Flood on your back being the controls to swim around. There's this pretty sweet Super Mario Galaxy Beach inspired level that I really liked. In this room, Toadsworth and Toad are arguing over Mario Party, and there's a sweet GameCube setup here. Peach is in the next room on, and she further explains how the paintings make sense. There's an early build of Lighthouse Island here too. There's another cool galaxy level with Rosalina in it, but she's unable to be interacted with. There's a level in this floating cage that takes place in the Wing Cap level from Super Mario 64. There's also a level that's just Windfall Island from Wind Waker that was so awesome. The Windfall Island mission involves finding Yoshi and getting a rocket nozzle in the jail to collect all the red coins. Just so unnecessary, but so cool. There's this super annoying monkey ball level where you have to kick the ball around an obstacle course. I ended up cheesing it though. There's also the Delfino Square Mario Kart track here too, which was kind of like a oh yeah moment. I wonder why this didn't make it into the mod, considering it's technically a canon location due to its inclusion in Mario Kart. I skipped over the bullshit block level, like no chance I was doing that. There's early builds of the Daisy Cruiser levels, and even a Crash Bandicoot level and a Banjo-Kazooie level. And to finish off the castle, the last level where Bowser 3 would normally be located was a giant and laggy water park that Mario can slide around in and have some fun. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all that the masterpiece that is Super Mario Eclipse has to offer. Honestly, this might be up there in the running for my favorite game of all time. It took a game that already ranks up there as one of my favorites ever and added so many more challenges, location, lore, and overall wonder to the experience. And it wraps it up all nicely with an actual boss fight that's much more fitting to be the finale of a game of this caliber. It does this all while fitting within the vibe of Super Mario Sunshine's frustratingly fun gameplay. I legitimately cannot speak highly enough of this game. Thank you to the incredibly talented Eclipse team for making this, and if you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more videos to come. And hey, maybe check out some of my other videos too. It'd mean a lot to me.